So I am training for a half marathon and a marathon this year. Yet, if you ask me what my main training style is, it's a lot more based on weightlifting and calisthenics. So in this video, I want to break down exactly how I improve my running while still maintaining my muscle mass and my overall size. Now, the first thing I'll say is that I have worked out when it comes to weightlifting for years now. So I do have more muscle than someone who's just walking off the couch. This is important because what I would recommend, and what you see a lot of times, the people who still have their muscle mass when they start running, is because they put on the muscle first. It is very difficult to put on muscle mass while you're running. So what I would suggest is, depending on how long you have, to bulk, put some muscle mass, and then start running. Now, obviously, running is a lot easier when you are lighter. That is a struggle that I'll even have right now, as I am a heavier person. However, I would still recommend putting on the muscle mass first because it is still just good for your body to have some muscle on it. Now what I suggest, and this is what works for me because I'm coming from someone who is used to weightlifting and doing calisthenics. So for me, the running is additional. What I mean by that is I will still go and do strength training 4 to 5 times a week. However, some days on my rest days and some days on a day that I had a weightlifting session, maybe in the morning, I'll come back and I'll do the running. I'll only do running once or twice a week. This is a lot lower than most people who are very focused on running. I understand that. But like I said, for me, I just want to achieve these things, but it's not my main focus. And the other thing I would say is that I try to really prioritize long runs and easy runs. I'm trying to keep my pace low. I'm trying to go further distances. I look at it the same way that I look at weightlifting, which is progression on a week-to-week basis. By building my engine in this way and also trying to make sure that I get steps in regularly throughout the week, my body is always moving, so it's a lot easier on it to have to run when it has to, but to also have the energy to do the other things. Now, the next part is nutrition. Whenever you're running, you're burning a lot of calories while running. Now, what people don't tell you is when you do any type of cardio, afterwards, let's say when you're talking or something, you move your hands a lot. If you did cardio, you're actually gonna move your body maybe a little less. It's just things that happen. However, one thing that does not leave is the hunger. So for me, what I try to do personally is if I'm gonna run, I try to run later in the day. That way it's easier to balance out my meals so that I am focusing on getting enough food in me, but I'm not super hungry for the whole day. And also, if my body was gonna move in all these ways throughout the day, it's still doing that. So it burns a little more calories, and for someone who's trying to drop it at a good rate, I find it overall useful. So these are just some tips I have. See you next one.